All right, let's quickly go across to Kamalika, because those are the visuals that we are bringing to you, exclusive visuals of the two accused being brought to the NIA court. Kamalika, give us a sense of what's happening right now. All right, we'll try and reconnect with Kamalika, but those are the latest exclusive visuals. Let's go back to Arunima, who continues to track the case for us. Arunima, tracking the money trail as far as these cryptocurrency transactions are concerned, it's very important at the moment for NIA to get a sense of understanding with regards to the terror financing aspect, because time and again with various terror modules, it's been observed that cryptocurrency is often used to finance these kind of terror strategies.
To be the case in this particular module. Like I said, between 2020 and 2023, there has been evidence to suggest that 3 lakh rupees was transferred just in one account. Others, ISIS module members have, at different point in investigation to different agencies have also given leads about how lakhs of rupees were transferred via crypto. I just told you about one person who's questioned in this case, saying that he also suspects that his crypto ID was used in this case.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you there, Arunima. In fact, we'll have
funding.
Just running our viewers through all those visuals we are bringing to you. One of the accused being ferried inside the court over there by NIA officials. As you can see, Kamalika is back with us. Kamalika, take us through what's happening right now.
As you can see that they have just been, as you can see that these are the cars, they have just been taken inside the main accused and the other person, and their faces were draped with black color cloth, and they have just been brought and they will now be produced in the court. Very big catch. You have seen that huge amount of security obviously was there in the court, and they came around. Both of them were taken and they are now produced in the court. So high level security out here in NIA court, Kolkata. This is definitely a very big catch by the NIA with the coordination of West Bengal police. Last night, middle of the night, they nabbed actually both of these accused. One of them is the main accused, and now any time from now they have been taken from this way and they will be produced in court.
All right, let's also bring in Arunima on this bit. Arunima, both the accused have been presented at the court now, and as you were also discussing, the NIA will in fact be also pushing for more, they'll also be wanting to ascertain if more people are involved. The visuals go on to only indicate how these youth are now being in fact roped in to become part of such terror modules. Not to forget, these are educated youngsters that you are looking at, most of them engineering graduates who also have an understanding of how cryptocurrencies and crypto wallets work, and perhaps that's also one reason that explains that kind of terror financing that goes behind these modules.
So let me try and make a profile for you as to who these members of ISIS module are. As per NIA investigation, most of them are BTech or engineering graduates. They are in the age group of 25 to 30. So obviously they're technology savvy. They have basic understanding of which chemical combines with what and what kind of a reaction happens. So specific profiling of such vulnerable youngsters in Karnataka has been done, and they have been radicalized, like I said, through online platforms. Some apps have been utilized, some gaming apps also, and once the radicalization is complete, then as per investigation in various cases from Coimbatore to the Mangaluru blast to the Shimoga module case, the general sense that the NIA gets is that once the online handler is convinced that the youngster is radicalized, he is then put in touch with the handlers or masterminds like Talha. There are meetings that are carried out at places which they consider secure, and their jobs are assigned to them. So initially innocuous looking jobs, but subsequently they are completely drawn into the ISIS module's work. So that's the modus operandi so far. The interrogation of these two in the Cafe Blast case will tell us if similar modus operandi has been used, and if there are others, youngsters also, who are part of the module. NIA investigation will not just impact the Cafe Blast case, but will have ramifications for general radicalization cases that multiple agencies are probing down south.
Absolutely. In fact, on that note, I'd also like to bring in Akshara, who is also live with us. Akshara, what stands out in this entire case is that one of the accused is also behind bars in this entire case. He managed to continue to operate and coordinate with these two accused who've been arrested today also is a fact that stands out. But having said that, there have been links with ISIS Khorasan province also that have surfaced. Having said that, do shed light on how much activity of ISIS Khorasan province has been on the rise, especially when you look at such kind of terror modules in the state of Karnataka, with the handlers in fact sitting all the way back in Afghanistan.
Well, you see, as you mentioned, one individual was already, one of the accused, and in many instances, these individuals, the terror suspects, have been radicalized in jail itself, where they have met and discussed and shared their ideas. There have been certain cases. When it comes to this particular case, the arrest has been made, which has been made, is very much crucial because, as my colleague was mentioning, it sheds light on the general radicalization of youths as well. First, it was understood that Muzaffar Shah Sahib was one of the suspect in this particular case, and later the probe also revealed that Mateen Taha was also involved, and in fact he was the mastermind. And these two individuals hail from the Tirthahalli in Shimoga district of Karnataka, and the other two individuals who supported them and lent them the logistics were also from the Shimoga district in the Tirthahalli region of Karnataka. So yes, it sheds lights on the general radicalization of these individuals, and also the further investigation will only reveal all the if there is a nexus behind this. As the Karnataka Home Minister earlier had also pointed out the fact that this is not the case of a lone wolf. There's a network behind this. So all these details will be out very soon, and we'll get a clear light regarding a clear idea regarding who's behind this and all the nexus behind.
Absolutely. In fact, Arunima, if you look at the way these accused were absconding and the number of cities where they were spotted, there's Chennai, there's Pune, it only goes on to, in fact, shed more light on the kind of nexus that is being built, and what will the NIA also be probing further in terms of the expanse of these terror modules in the country.
Yes, so NIA was sent on a wild goose chase, literally. The way this entire module allegedly planned the explosion, it was clear that they wanted to take steps which would throw the investigators off track, and therefore the first set of visuals that you got immediately after the blast showed the bomber speaking on the phone. Immediately technical dumps were taken from nearby mobile towers, but the investigators realized that this was just a fake action that the bomber undertook to throw the investigators off track. There was no call that was made. The next thing that you see is multiple CCTV grabs capturing the alleged bomber traveling all around Karnataka, also to Andhra Pradesh, and perhaps at some point to Maharashtra also. That's when NIA decided to question ISIS Shimoga module members who are in custody, and they carried out searches across India, including Karnataka, including Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Kerala police was also roped in, and finally this cooperation led to that specific tip-off about the absconders hiding in West Bengal. When they reached West Bengal, the police there, along with the NIA and the central agencies, ensured that within 2 hours' time, the absconders were arrested.